What if the very walls of your sanctuary, the place you think is safest, actually turned into a battleground for your own mind?
Yeah. Or what if those shadows you're scared of, they're not just outside, but they're inside you too?
Mm.
Or maybe, terrifyingly, both.
That's a really chilling thought, isn't it? Sets the tone immediately, sort of throws you right into that deep, unsettling place we're going to explore today.
It really does. That kind of psychological territory.
It certainly does. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a stack of sources, could be articles, research, maybe even your notes, and we really dig in. We pull out the most important bits of knowledge, the key insights.
Yeah, the goal is to give you a real shortcut, right? To being genuinely well-informed, not just skimming the surface, but getting that, deeper understanding.
Exactly. We want to go way beyond just summarizing. We're here to connect the dots, find those subtle links, and hopefully spark some of those aha moments for you. The kind that make information stick.
Make it resonate, yeah. Long after you're done listening.
And today, we're doing a custom-tailored deep dive. We're focusing on just one single narrative, but it's incredibly compelling. We are stepping right into the chilling world of shadows.
Yeah, from Chris Stone's Dark Passages series. Award-winning author, really fantastic stuff.
That's the one. And our specific mission today is to unpack the main themes that Stone weaves so masterfully into this really complex story. We'll look at the layers of, human experience, perception.
How fear can just completely warp reality.
Totally. And the intricate dance of relationships, how they change, and also the haunting question of what's actually true.
The ambiguity of it all.
Exactly. And everything we talk about, it's pulled directly from the prose of Shatters itself.
It's a brilliant choice for this kind of deep dive. It's just a masterclass in psychological horror, really, and a deep character study. Stone just has this knack for dropping you right into a world that feels, well, both familiar and deeply, deeply wrong.
He really does, using these incredibly vivid details right from the first paragraph to show us Jimmy's state of mind. It's not just setting the scene, it's like he's priming us for the weirdness to come.
Yeah, preparing us for the unease.
Okay, let's really get into it then right from the start, because Stone doesn't waste any time. We meet Jimmy. He's holed up in his study. Now, you think study, you think safe space, right? Refuge, books, maybe comfort.
A sanctuary.
But the very first details, they tell us it's anything but. He describes this soggy cigar on the desk, and it's left a dark, ashy scar.
Yeah.
It seems small, almost insignificant maybe, but that visual scar, it just immediately hints at something unsettling, something left to rot almost, to stain things.
It's not just messiness, is it? If it's like a symbol of something deeper, neglect, maybe self-neglect, that the comfort of that room is long gone, leaving just this residue of dread.
And what's really clever, I think, and classic Stone, is how he uses these little physical things, the environment, to mirror what's going on inside Jimmy.
Absolutely. The study isn't just a room. It's become, through his own fear, really, a self-made prison.
Yeah, and that detail about the chair pinned against its handle.
Right. It's not just locking the door. It says so much about his desperation, doesn't it? This frantic need to wall himself off from whatever he thinks is out there, or maybe was already inside his own head.
He's trying to barricade his mind, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to keep it all out.
But it's totally futile, isn't it? That's the tragedy, because even with the chair jam there, he's still fixated on that tiny sliver of light under the door.
The thin stream of light.
Always expecting to see shattery feet scurrying there. It's not just a quick flash of paranoia, it feels.
Yeah.
Constant, pervasive, like he's always being watched, always hunted, even in his own supposed fortress.
It suggests the real invasion is already happening, doesn't it? Inside him.
Totally. And this highlights that stark contrast Stone draws between the outside world and Jimmy's internal state. There's this winter chill outside the cabin.
Right, objective cold.
But inside, sweat beaded his brow. His ancient fingers trembled. The cold outside doesn't matter because his fear is this internal furnace. It's physical. It's consuming him.
That internal inferno, yeah. And that phrase, impotent quivering, it's so precise. It just screams loss of control, right? A physical sign of his mind unraveling. It's a theme that just echoes through the whole story. He's losing his grip, literally and figuratively.
And Stone makes you feel it, every tremor. And it's not just visuals or physical feelings. He uses sound, too, doesn't he, to really crank up the tension.
Oh, absolutely. The sound design and the writing is incredible.
Like early on, he hears a clinking noise from a drawer, and bam, he flinches instantly.
Yeah. Now, a clink from a drawer, normally that's nothing, right? Totally mundane.
Right. But for him, in that state, It's amplified. It becomes a threat. It just shows how hypersensitive he is, how his paranoia is twisting everything. His mind is already building dangers out of thin air.
And this immediately brings up that key question for us and for you listening. Is his fear real? Is there something external?
Sure.
Or is it all coming from inside? Is his mind just breaking down?
That's the million-dollar question.
And that hissing radio, tuned somewhere between channels, just static. It's like a brilliant auditory symbol for that disorder, isn't it?
Yeah, no clear signal. Just noise. Unreality. It perfectly mirrors his mental state. He can't tune in, not to the radio and not to reality either.
Exactly. It primes us, the readers, the listeners, to start questioning everything he perceives. It lays the groundwork for the delusions that are coming.
Which brings us neatly to another really big piece of this story. Memory. The weight of it. Stone doesn't just show us Jimmy now. He digs into his past, especially his relationship with Meredith.
And you start to see how that past informs his present despair.
Yeah, we get this vivid glimpse of young Jimmy, and it's almost unbelievable the contrast with the old man we just met. He was confident, maybe even a bit cocky.
Oh, definitely. The ad man with the handlebar mustache, the slick jet black hair, that pale yellow shirt with the popped-out collar. He had the gift of gab. He sounds like he owned the world back then.
Totally in control, thriving, charismatic.
And then the story gives us the moment he met Meredith. It's described so romantically, almost like a movie scene in this seedy bar in Lower Manhattan.
Right, her aquamarine eyes, that instant spark.
Yeah. And Stone sets it against this backdrop of a late September Yankees pennant run, that shared public excitement. It's such a poignant contrast to the private world they're about to build, and an even starker contrast to the isolation and horror Jimmy's experiencing now.
It really highlights the distance, doesn't it, between who he was and who he became.
Immense distance.
But even in that memory, Meredith wasn't free, was she? She was trapped in that relationship with Percy Ellington.
Right. Described as a creep, her warden.
Yeah. And that huge diamond ring, the iceberg-sized rock on her finger. It wasn't about love. It symbolized this life of luxury that felt like nothing. She was a prisoner, basically, with no other tangible option.
It's a really tragic situation.
Yeah.
And it means their relationship right from the start was built partly on this foundation of escape, wasn't it? Not just pure attraction.
That's a great point. Desperation played a role from day one.
And Stone captures that unspoken thing between them so well. That eye lock across the bar. The butterfly she feels. Her thinking, please, just turn around before it's too late.
That pull towards escape, even though it's dangerous.
Yeah, the allure of something different, even if it's uncertain. And understanding that beginning, that mix of hope and maybe desperation, is crucial for getting why their relationship decays so badly later on. The seeds were kind of planted early.
And that decay, wow, it's brutal to read. The story just lays it bare, how that initial love at first sight just fades, transforms into two old people cohabitating.
All those magical exchange of irises, the momentary sparks like dancing in Milan, they just dwindled and ultimately vanished entirely.
It's so unsentimental. Just shows how passion can erode over time. The friction of just living together. It's a hard truth about long-term love, isn't it? It's not static. It changes.
It's fragile. And this erosion, it leads to something really uncomfortable, doesn't it? The text points out Jimmy Schadenfreude.
Oh, yeah. That German word, taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just mentioned, it's shown. He actually smiles when Meredith is upset because Neiman Marcus doesn't have her sweater size.
Ugh, it's chilling.
It really is. Because Schadenfreude, it's complex, right? It's not just being mean. Here, it feels like it shows how resentment can just twist intimacy into something ugly, like psychological point scoring.
A really dark turn for their relationship. How closeness can breed contempt, almost.
Especially when the spark is gone. It's a disturbing reflection, maybe, of that initial desperation that brought them together. It's soured.
And the physical stuff around them reflects this decay, too, right? His office, the place he's trapped now, it's filled with this oversized desk and back-crippling chair, described as gaudy and unnecessary.
Yeah, symbols of extravagance, but totally empty of real connection, like money thrown into the Mediterranean Sea for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
It's just stuff, filling a void left by lost connection, empty opulence.
Just like their relationship, maybe?
It seems that way, and it's from this place, this deep isolation and relationship decay, that the story dives headfirst into the truly terrifying unknown. The invasion starts, or maybe Restarts.
With the shadows reappearing, in that tiny slit of light under the door again, that dread just comes flooding back.
And it feels like his internal terrors are now actually manifesting externally, or at least that's how he sees it. That line between inside and outside just starts to completely break down.
And the sounds escalate things too. Beyond just paranoia, he hears that small scratching sound, like a squirrel with an acorn.
Totally innocuous, right?
Normally, yeah. But his mind, it twists it instantly into dark figures in dark robes outside his door, with pale, dead fish hands, scratching, carving ancient Nordic runes.
Wow, that's specific. And the mention of Poe's raven.
Yeah, it adds this literary weight, doesn't it? Connects his personal horror to this classic symbol of encroaching madness, inescapable dread. His mind is literally conjuring the monsters it fears.
It's actively building the narrative of his terror. And then those little alien murmurs,
Yep.
barely audible, eerily human-esque, but utterly indecipherable.
That ambiguity is terrifying. Are they real sounds he's misinterpreting? Or purely hallucinations? We're left wondering right alongside him. It's classic psychological horror territory. His world is literally losing its meaning or gaining sinister new meanings only he perceives.
Yeah, sensory distortion cranked up to 11.
And this is where his reality just seems to fracture completely, visually too. He sees these pulsating colors that didn't belong. Blues, whites, reds, like the northern lights had gone insane.
Whoa, that's intense imagery. Not just a flicker, but a total breakdown of the visual world around him, like his internal chaos is being projected onto the walls. Madness in color.
And it leads him, inevitably maybe, to a full-blown delusion. He sees sort of a vehicle or a craft, bright dancing lights, metallic skin, and his mind just leaps
To the insane conclusion.
that it was, well, alien. That's the moment, isn't it? The point of no return into this delusion.
It feels like it. And his physical struggle after that, trying to push the bookcase against the window. The description is so visceral. His face red, sweating, his back popping.
Yeah, all that effort against something that might not even be there, the sheer futility of it is heartbreaking.
It really underscores his desperation.
And what's fascinating and kind of disturbing is how pop culture feeds into this. Stone explicitly brings in the movie Communion.
Right. Christopher Walken. Little Gray Men.
Jimmy's mind grabs onto that. It provides a ready-made story, a framework for his fear. These pre-existing images of torturous acts give shape to his terror.
And the story details those acts, doesn't it? The things his mind is replaying from the movie, now feeling like his own reality.
Yeah, it's graphic. Needles piercing his skin, green serum, strips of skin, flayed in freakish biopsies.
Ugh. And the eyelids pried back, forced to watch wires going into his brain.
It's horrific, and it shows how powerful these cultural stories can be, right? They can literally become the script for someone's breakdown, especially when they're vulnerable. It makes the delusion feel sickeningly real to him.
It really raises questions about how much external media, even fiction, shapes our deepest fears.
And the irony is just crushing. He used to dismiss all that stuff. Alien abductions, Hollywood hooey, he called it.
Yeah, he intellectually rejected it.
But now, in his isolation, his mind breaking down, it is his reality. It just shows the mind's incredible, almost terrifying ability to deceive itself under pressure. The line between knowing and experiencing just collapses.
He needed an explanation, and his mind latched onto that one, which made it real for him.
And the delusion becomes even more personal, more invasive. He finds that shadowy object in the corner of the room.
Something previously unseen shatters that sense of being alone.
And his immediate thought, fully filtered through the alien narrative now, one of those green bastards got in and probably probed her and cut out her eggless ovaries.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredibly disturbing. It brings the abstract alien threat right into his relationship with Meredith, into his deepest anxieties about violation, maybe his own lost vitality. It's not just about shadows outside anymore. It's about the ultimate violation.
Yeah, the ultimate violation of intimacy, of self.
Which leads us to the climax, which is just utterly tragic and deeply ambiguous.
He finds Meredith's body, and the description is horrific. Disjointed, bloody, her hair caked with blood, dried tears on her ruined face, her arms trapped behind her back.
Such a brutal image. And the contrast with those earlier memories, the aquamarine eyes,
Mm.
dancing is just devastating. The spark is gone, violently extinguished.
And his reaction, pure delusion, he instantly thinks those shadow men had beat him here. They flayed her open right here in his study.
It's a completely unhinged justification, isn't it?
Yeah.
His mind immediately creates a story that fits his internal horror,
Mm-hmm.
self-preservation maybe, in a terrifying way.
And the hysterical laughter that follows, thinking of her as a squashed bug, that's the sign, isn't it? He's completely broken from sanity. Truth doesn't matter anymore, only the delusion.
Yeah. Reality is irrelevant now.
And then his final act, the fire. It's just as devastating. His study, his fortress, is breached.
That description of the bookcase shaking, inching away from the window,
Yeah.
and the little alien tentacle pushing through the door crack, finding the chair leg.
It's so specific. It marks the total collapse, doesn't it? Physical defenses, mental defenses, all gone.
No barrier left.
Yeah.
And when the chair finally buckled and collapsed, that's it. Complete surrender to the invasion as he sees it.
But then what he does next is so shocking. Dropping the oil lamp, setting himself on fire.
And standing perfectly still, like those protesting monks from Vietnam.
It raises that huge, unsettling question, doesn't it? Is this ultimate surrender just giving up? Or is it, in some twisted way, a final act of control, choosing his own end?
That's the core ambiguity of it, I think, especially because amidst the fire and the screaming aliens in his head, his mind finds peace.
Right. Focused on Meredith's eyes, that first moment, it's just this tragic kind of transcendence through the delusion itself, finding some bizarre comfort in the absolute horror.
It's profoundly disturbing.
Then, bang, the story yanks us out of his head into the cold, hard reality of the police arriving.
Deputy Jimmy Jougans, the burning cabin, Jimmy's body, described so brutally, burning, turning black, cooked.
Ugh. And Meredith's body found, dead, arms trapped. It's such a stark, almost clinical shift from the internal nightmare we just witnessed.
Yeah. And Watkins, he's experienced, right? Seen many suicides. He notes the self-immolation is fucky.
Yeah, that word choice, fucky. It tells you something's off, even for a grim scene like this.
But ultimately, his conclusion, murder-suicide. That's the official story, the external version. And it stands in such stark contrast to Jimmy's whole internal narrative.
It brings in that gritty reality of police work, right? Complex human tragedy boiled down to observable facts, often missing the why.
Exactly. It forces us to confront how little objective observation sometimes tells us about deep subjective suffering.
And then there's that final clue, or maybe red herring, the piece of paper.
Ah, yes. 301 Grand Clinic Monday. Found on his desk.
The police report doesn't explain it, but its presence just hangs there, suggesting maybe a medical reason for everything, cognitive decline, mental health issues.
It adds this whole other layer of ambiguity, doesn't it? The potential, more grounded explanation for the alien stuff.
And this is where looking at Stone's other work in the Dark Passages series becomes really illuminating, I think. Because that clinic, it's not just a random detail.
No, not at all. The source material from another story, The Afflicted, gives it this really profound and frankly disturbing context.
Tell us about that.
Well, in The Afflicted, we meet another character, Keith. And he attends this exact same place, the 301 Grand Clinic, because his memory is failing. His stubborn peanut butter brain, as he calls it. He can't remember simple things like how he met his wife.
So it's a memory clinic? Or something like that?
Sort of, but it's sinister. It offers these treatments, the clear and the true, supposed to reboot the brain, bring back memories, but always at an undisclosed cost.
Uh-oh. That sounds ominous.
It is. The clinic itself isn't some shiny hospital. It's a refurbished warehouse in a rough area, feared by locals. The pamphlet promises things like, dying is a thing of the past. Your mind doesn't have to betray you.
Wow. Preying on desperation. Offering this impossible hope to people like Keith, people like maybe Jimmy, facing cognitive decline. A Faustian bargain almost.
Exactly. And Keith sees what really goes on there. He describes the staff, calls them sadists or vampires, literally sucking blood from the unfortunates by the arm and bag full, using giant pumping machines.
Wait, what? Sucking blood?
Yeah. Extracting platelets, their electrolytes, draining them, leaving them hollow, like liposuction in reverse, but taking life force, not fat. He sees sacks of blood stored in a giant fridge.
That's horrifying. So, where does the blood come from? And go?
The implication is that these old fucks, the afflicted, are essentially buying back their youth, their memories, their vitality from younger donors, often nameless, faceless donors. Keith feels sick witnessing it, overhearing someone talk about tasting the essence of a young woman donor.
Oh my God. Her youth, her life literally drained for someone else's preservation.
Exactly. So connecting this back to shadows, that 301 Grand Clinic note on Jimmy's desk suddenly takes on a much darker meaning. Was he undergoing this horrific treatment to fight his own decline?
Which could mean his alien delusions, maybe they weren't just his mind breaking down on its own. Maybe they were a side effect. Or God, even a literal representation of being invaded, drained by this process.
Precisely. It throws that ambiguity wide open again. Was it mental illness, neurodegeneration, or was something far more sinister, more invasive happening to him physically tied to this clinic? Deputy Watkins says he'll never know what had led Jougans to this day, and that ambiguity remains for us too.
That context makes the clinic notes so much more chilling. And the final detail, that Juergens was seen as a respectable man who just became a shut-in, it adds to that mystery of his quiet suffering before the explosion. So this whole journey through shadows, especially with that added context, really brings its core themes into sharp focus. First, obviously, the fragility of the mind, the descent into delusion.
Absolutely. Stone explores how the mind can just build its own reality, especially under stress, isolation, or decline. Jimmy's fear, whether it had any basis or not, fuels his alien delusion. The lines just blur completely for him.
And he traps us in there with him, makes us feel the logic of his madness.
And it highlights how existing ideas, even from a movie like Communion, can provide the actual blueprint for that delusion. Our fears latch onto stories we already know.
Yeah. And the story never lets us off the hook, right? We're always questioning his sanity, never sure what's real.
Then there's the theme of relationships. That intricate, painful dance of love, resentment, obligation.
The whole arc of Jimmy and Meredith, from that initial spark to just cohabitating, the little annoyances piling up, and that awful schadenfreude.
It's a really unflinching look at how love can change, even sour over long periods. How closeness can sometimes breed resentment instead of deeper intimacy.
And how they were both kind of trapped, weren't they? Her with Percy, then maybe with Jimmy. Him trapped by his mind, by obligation, perhaps?
Yeah, it explores those burdens of connection. How relationships, even good ones, can become their own kind of confinement over time.
Which ties into that theme of control versus helplessness.
Jimmy's desperate attempts to stay in control, barricading the door, fighting the shadows. It's a losing battle against both the perceived threats and his own internal decay.
He's losing agency, and he's fighting it frantically.
Until that final act, the
Yeah.
self-immolation. Is it giving up completely, or is it that final twisted assertion of control, choosing his own exit?
The fact that he finds peace in it makes it so profoundly disturbing and ambiguous, a distorted claim of agency, maybe even in madness.
And finally, the theme that holds it all together, the ambiguity of truth.
Yeah, Jimmy's subjective, alien-filled reality versus the police's objective murder-suicide conclusion, two completely different stories.
And the story forces you, the listener, to wrestle with that. Which truth is real? Is either one complete? The clinic note just adds another layer, another possible explanation, without giving us a definitive answer.
It denies us that easy resolution.
Exactly. And that's the power of it. The unanswered questions are what make it so haunting. It makes you think about how history, mental state, maybe even those sinister outside forces, all shape our individual narratives of life and death. The truth here is fractured, subjective, maybe unknowable.
So we've journeyed through the really unsettling depths of Chris Stone's shadows, haven't we? We've looked at Jimmy's terrifying fall into fear and delusion, the complicated, often painful path of his relationship with Meredith, and that profound, lingering ambiguity of truth, especially when you see it from different angles.
It definitely leaves us with a heavy thought to chew on. How much do our deepest fears, our pasts, actually shape the reality we experience day to day? And maybe more unsettlingly, in a world where perspectives can be so incredibly different, influenced by so many things, how can we ever be sure we know the real truth of someone else's experience? Or even, maybe, our own?
That's the lingering question. So what stood out to you in this deep dive? What questions does shadows and maybe Jimmy's story bring up for you about the shadows we all deal with, the ones we see and the ones we don't? Something to reflect on.